Morning. Spring break is almost here, which means camp retreat is almost here. Just laying that out in front of you to consider, because you need to sign up by Wednesday. After Wednesday, the cost triples for you to come, okay? Actually, you can't come after. We are in this series of Transformed. And last week we talked about spiritual health and using the story of the prodigal son and the loving father from Luke 15. Today we're going to move into the second week, and today we're going to be talking about physical health, but I am not going to talk to you about not going to McDonald's every day of your life, okay? I'm not telling you you need to exercise more. I'm not going to tell you that you need to eat better food and more vegetables and less red meat. And I'm not telling you that because I have no intention of doing that myself. That's not what we're going to talk about. We tend to dissect our lives into various categories: physical, emotional, mental, spiritual, and we dissect ourselves and we talk about these different areas, but the reality is we are one body. And it doesn't really work that way. What affects me physically, what I eat, does make a difference. My physical body affects my mental health. My mental health will affect my spiritual health, and actually my physical health will affect my spiritual health. We're all one person. We can't really dissect, and yet because we can't hit every area all the time about all these things, we talk about them in different ways. So today, instead of talking about not going to McDonald's or Tim Hortons, we're talking about stress. Stress and how it can affect so many other places in our lives, but stress as physical health. Now, stress comes into our lives for many, many reasons. You don't have enough money to pay your bills. That's stress. Work can be stress. Not having enough time to get everything done that's on your list. How many come to the end of the day and your list is still, actually you've probably added to the list, so you have more numbers on the list than you started the day with? We keep doing things like that. There aren't answers to the health concerns that you have. There's no guarantee that we'll always be safe and avoid injury or difficulty. Our impulse to do things, and then we regret it. Why did I say yes to that? I should have never said yes to that. And now we're trying to cram more into our day when we're already feeling overstressed. We go into a meeting and when we come out feeling worse than when we went in. Our kids are a stress, and not just when they're little. Just saying. They can be a stress when they're older. Our kids feel stress at school. Maybe they're being bullied or being pressured or being made fun of, or there's something going on. They come and tell you, and you care so much, which is a good thing. It causes anxiety and it causes stress in our lives. Fear causes stress. Disappointment causes stress. Friendships and family life can cause stress. Deadlines, demands, commitments, all those things add stress. The Mayo Clinic gives a fast overview of what stress can do to us. It says this, stress symptoms may be affecting your health even though you may not know it. You may blame sickness on that annoying headache or sleeping troubles, feeling unwell, or your lack of focus at work. but stress might really be the cause. Stress symptoms can affect your body, your thoughts, your feelings, your behavior. Knowing the common stress symptoms can help you manage them. Stress that's not dealt with can lead to health problems such as high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, obesity, and diabetes. What an encouraging message, hey? If you have stress symptoms, taking steps to manage them is really, really important, and there are health benefits as well. And that's what we're delving into today. But before I jump to that, I want to finish with Mayo's just summary with this last statement they make. It says this, in dealing with stress: aim to find active ways to manage your stress. Idle ways to manage stress that don't get you moving may seem relaxing, but they may add to your stress over time. Examples are watching TV or playing video games. I'm not looking at anybody in particular. Stress. Stress is really our body's response to real or perceived threats or really difficult situations in our life. It's a response that really is meant to get us ready for what we call that flight or fight thing, that sense of danger that we feel or uncertain. But here's the truth: not all stress is bad. Not all stress is bad, okay? It can help us focus for the task at hand. Laying awake at night is not a good thing, but sometimes the best thinking that I do is in the middle of the night. I don't know what that says about my daytime thinking, but yeah, it can help us focus on what's going on to help us solve the problem. The situation, in that kind of situation, the stress is manageable and can be helpful. And we all have stress in our lives, right? That's why I think stress is a pretty relevant topic to talk about. We all have stress. Even Jesus had stress. Matthew chapter 14, verse 22 to 24. It says, right then, Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go ahead to the other side of the lake while he dismissed the crowds. And when he sent them away, he went up onto a mountain by himself to pray. Evening came, and he was alone. Meanwhile, the boat, fighting a strong headwind, was being battered by the waves and was already far away from land. That tells me that Jesus needed to get away too. To take time, to be alone, to spend time with God, to pray. And here's what I'm always learning about dealing with stress. Time to be alone with God and refresh is so important because it helps you get ready for the next storm that's coming your way. Because there is always a next storm. Jesus needed to recharge after an exhausting season of ministry. He had just finished feeding 5,000 people. But before that, John the Baptist, his cousin, was beheaded. So he's grieving. He is tired. He needed to draw away to rest and know the place that he was going to be with his heavenly Father. But I also need to point this out. When he was finished with praying and being alone and rejuvenating, what did he step back into? A storm. A storm. That's what he got ready for. He got ready for the next physical storm, and life doesn't stop because we're grieving or we're tired or we're overwhelmed or we're stressed. So the big question is, how do we deal with that in our lives? So we're going to look at Psalm 23 this morning. and talk about different ways we can deal with that in our lives. It's one of the most well-known passages of the Bible, but it can help us. The psalm has given comfort to people, well, I think ever since David wrote it, it's given comfort to people. Because it paints a picture that is calming and caring and protective. And it's a model of stress management. So let's just read Psalm 23. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He lets me rest in grassy meadows. He leads me to restful waters. He keeps me alive. He guides me in proper paths for the sake of his good name. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no danger because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they protect me. You set a table for me right in front of my enemies. You bathe my head in oil. My cup is so full it spills over. Yes, goodness and faithful love will pursue me all the days of my life, and I will live in the Lord's house as long as I live. We're going to look at 5 different antidotes to stress. One of the causes of stress in our lives is worry. We worry because we wonder if we'll have what we need when we need it. We worry about so many different things in life, hoping that it works out. But life rarely works out the way we plan it. It rarely works the way we perceive it, and so we wonder and we worry and we have concern and we get stressed. And that's where we step into these ideas of how we can be less stressed. I'm not promising stress will be gone. I'm saying, how do we deal with those stressful things in a way that is helpful? Number 1, a security shepherd. The security shepherd is so much better than a security blanket or your favorite stuffed animal. We need a security shepherd. God is our security shepherd, and that's where David starts with us. The Lord is my shepherd, and my shepherd meets all my needs. It says, I lack nothing. That can bring me calm. That can give me calm to my anxious heart. It's like, if I have this security shepherd, he's active in my lives, it can help me be calm. That way I'm not going to be disappointed because I'm going to trust in God. I have everything that I need because he's my shepherd, and the shepherd oversees all that's going on in my life. Remember last Sunday I talked about how I try to manage things and try and deal with things. Managing is trying to deal with something that can bring stress into my life, and I don't like that stress, so I'm going to try and manage it so I can negate that stress. It doesn't usually work very well, but I still haven't learned to not do it. We're working at it. I know it's easy to say, just bring less stress in your life or trust the shepherd more, but it's not always that easy. Pain comes to help us exercise our muscle of trust. Pain comes to help us exercise that muscle of trust. Now, some of us here in this room are like spiritual bodybuilders. You've got a ton of trust, and the very first thing that comes to your mind when difficult things come your way is like, I'm going to trust God, and it's right there. And then there's some of us who are like stick people with no muscle and all bone. Definitely not a bodybuilder when it comes to trust, and it's just a struggle in our lives. And you can picture that in your mind, the difference between that bodybuilder and the stick man. And you're somewhere probably in this continuum someplace between the stick man and the bodybuilder. And that's why pain is there. The goal is to be in this process of building this muscle of trust, to be like a bodybuilder in our spiritual lives, knowing that God is there and I don't wonder about it. Don't get me wrong, I'm not judging whether you're a stick guy or a bodybuilder. Because here's the truth, even bodybuilders falter. Even the most trusting people falter because that's called being human. So there's no judgment. They're just saying, how do we look at pain and these things in our lives? And that's there, and the struggles and the difficulties and the things that bring us stress. And where are we on that continuum where we turn to God and trusting Him? You see, as the trust muscle grows, so does our sense of security in the shepherd. David knew what he was writing about as a shepherd. He knew the life of each sheep was in his care and they were dependent on him. And he took that sense of responsibility to heart. Now, as a sheep, and God's my shepherd, I honestly try to usurp his authority. But I was thinking about that in preparing this message. It's like, I never heard one of David's sheep stand up and try and usurp his authority. Like, it just doesn't make sense when you are the cute little furry, cuddly animal, but you're not in charge. And you need someone to take care of you, and that is God. He's the shepherd. So I'm encouraging, don't usurp his authority. That's God's job. And God does it really well. Romans 8, verse 32, it says, "He who did not spare his own son, but gave him up for us all, how will he not also along with him graciously give us all things?" The foundation for less stress, the less stressful life, is to refocus on God. And that's why we started this journey with spiritual health last Sunday. So try doing this. Every time you start to get stressed out, pause and say this: "The Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. He's going to provide. He's going to take care of me." If we have that decision in our mind already before we even get into the problem or the next problem that comes your way, and just say, before I even get into this problem that's already hitting me in the face, I just want to say, the Lord is my shepherd. I have everything I need. We can make those decisions before we get there. The second antidote is rest to recharge. So much of the stress in life comes from always being in a hurry, always going, always trying to make everything happen, always feeling that there's too much to do and you never have enough time or energy. You never get caught up. You come to the end of the day, and like I said, you've checked off 5 things on your list, but at the end of the day, lo and behold, there's 6 more. We can't keep doing life that way, and God knows it. Even He rested on the 7th day. God wasn't tired, but He modeled for us the importance of taking a break. Even kids with tons of energy need nap time. You remember kindergarten? Anybody? Can you remember that far back with me? Okay? You're going, and all of a sudden it's nap time, and you got to go to your cubbyhole or wherever you kept your blanket and pillow, and you go get it. and lay down, and that was the teacher's best time of the day right there. I mean, even kids with all that energy need rest. I have a couch in my office for that very reason. I'm kidding. Some of you really believed me. It's like, oh, what time does he nap anyway? No, we do need a break, though. Our North American mindset is one that works against us. I was raised to think that if you're not getting something done, you're wasting time and you're not honoring God. And that is so far from the truth. Relaxing for a while helps you do more, actually. And maybe even what you are doing to do better. Psalm 23, verse 2, He lets me rest in meadows green. He leads me to restful waters. He keeps me alive. Now I'm excited here right now. I'm really, really excited because of that picture. You know what it tells me? You can't rest when you go to the mall. That's not true. You might find the mall restful. But it says here, go outside. In meadows green, in a peaceful place. City life is okay for a while, but you need a break, right? You need a break. You need time. It's something that's been going into God's creation is recharging. It's proven over and over and over again. There's something about recharging and being restful in His creation. It's beautiful. It's inspiring. Its sounds are soothing. White noise for a baby sleeping is not the sounds of the city. It's nature. The rustle of leaves. God made a garden. That's what He made. You get my point, right? I'm here to help you. The retreat is March 14 to 16. Come on out. We'll take good, restful care of you. Number 3, know your guide. Know your guide. A large part of stress in our lives comes from indecision. So many choices and options that we get paralyzed with our decision making. Research tells us that the more choices that we have, the more overwhelmed that we feel, and we actually get stuck because we're feeling overwhelmed. We struggle to make up our minds because there's too many choices out there. Psalm 23, verse 3b, it says, He guides me in proper paths for the sake of His good name. We need to know our guide if we're going to go down the path for His good name. We can't make a decent decision without knowing the heart of the person that we say we're following, who we say is the king of our lives. Reading the Bible. Just another side benefit, note here. We do have a church reading plan, Bible reading plan you can become a part of. Read books. Talk to your friends. Openly, not just about certain things, but about the struggles and the positives, the good and the bad, and then pray and pray and pray and pray and pray. James 1:5 says, if any of you lacks wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all without finding fault, and it will be given to you. All those things I mentioned are good, but our guide, our best guide, is the Spirit. That's why I'm saying pray. Pray and then wait. Wait for Him. Because at the right time, and probably not immediately, and definitely not on your timetable, but at the right time, well, God will put the idea in your mind as you share and as you talk and as you read and as you pray, and He will be there. But we need to spend time knowing our guide. The fourth antidote is God's presence in tough seasons. Another common source of stress is loss. We can lose our job, which means we have a loss of income. We have a loss of daily routine. We have a loss of schedule. You lose the plan that you had for that money you would make, or you can lose your health. You can lose a loved one. Even losing something that you hoped for, hope that would happen, that's a loss. And we go through life with many, many losses. And when we go through these losses or face these losses, there are two common reactions. One is fear, and the other is grief. Grief is the way we get through these transitions in life. Grief is hard, but it's also a good thing. The Bible says that God grieves. It's a godly emotion. It's not something to try and stay away from or push down. The more we push it down, the more our bodies react, actually. And those are not good things. If you don't grieve, actually, you get stuck. You get stuck in that part of your life. Some of us have had major losses in our life, and yet we just try and push them down and keep it going. And I'm here to encourage you to just feel that loss, because God's with you there. It's hard. We can move through grief. And life has changed. And it won't go back to the way it was. But then we can get unstuck, even though when we understand that life has changed, it's not that we're ignoring the loss, we're actually using it to build a stronger trust muscle. But we can't do that. We can do that best when we have confidence that God's presence is with us in the hard stuff. We don't like feeling we have those dark valleys. I don't like that feeling, but it doesn't make it bad. Psalm 23, verse 4. Even when I walk through the darkest valley, I fear no danger, because you are with me. Your rod and staff, they protect me. I don't like danger. I don't like the dark. I don't like feeling it. As a kid, we had a fairly long driveway, and we'd have to go, winter is dark, and we'd have to go out and get the mail, and it would be my turn to get the mail. And it's like, Don, can you go get the mail? It's like, yeah, I can. But I'm pretty sure that somebody is hiding around the corner of the house watching me, just waiting. Oh, there's Don. I can get him. And I was afraid. It's like I had this image in my head. It was so far from the truth, but that's the struggle that I had. I thought they were just waiting for me to go down that drive. I have no idea what they were going to do. If they're going to hurt me, kidnap, who would want to kidnap me? But I was afraid. Whenever you fear, real or not, you need to know you're not alone. Because you're not alone. Even when the valley sucks you down deeper and you think you're at the bottom and you're not quite at the bottom, you're not alone. Even in the darkest valley of life. Psalm 142:3 says, when my spirit grows faint within me, it is you who watch over my way. When I'm ready to give up, God is watching over me. When my heart is sunk so down and I'm so faint and my spirit is weak, God is there. He doesn't leave me. He's protecting me. I don't have to know the answers to the struggle because God's present. At that very moment, I can trust God. This week, the church Bible reading plan is in Exodus. And I've read these verses before, and this one always jumps out to me many times, and it did again. I was reading, God comes to Moses at the burning bush, but it doesn't burn. And Moses goes over there. They have this interaction, this discussion that goes on, and then verses 11 and 12 of Exodus 3, it says this. When God's going through all this and Moses is saying, fine, I guess I'll have to lead because you're not letting me go. He said, Moses said to God, who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt? And God said, I'll be with you. And this will be the sign to you that it is I who have sent you. When you have brought the people out of Egypt, you will worship God on this mountain. That sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? You'll know that I am with you. When is Moses going to know that God is with him? When the headache's over at the end, they've done this journey. You're out of Egypt. He's faced all this stuff with all his people, and God says, hey, by the way, when a lot of the garbage has gone on in his past, you'll know I was with you the whole time. It's like, what? But I want to know you here and here and here. I want to know that you're there with me every step along the journey. And God says that he is, but here he's saying to Moses, you're going to know I was with you when you get back to worship here. We struggle with that concept. Our humanity isn't very patient with that. We struggle because we want to know beyond a shadow of a doubt. And if I don't think God is with me, I'm going to turn my back on him. It's like, no, he's there. If Moses didn't get God's there all the time, we're going to face the same things. But he is there with us. And that leads me to the final antidote. Number 5, God never stops short. God never stops short. Psalm 23, verse 6 says this. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. We stress over the what ifs of life. What if this happens, or what if that happens, or what if it doesn't happen? Especially in this world that's filled with so much uncertainty and turmoil. My final cry is that we seek to see God or see life from God's viewpoint. Matthew 11, 28 and 29, it says, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your soul. When Jesus takes my yoke, he's saying, I'll share the problem. It's not like I'm going to add to your burden. He's saying, I'm sharing your load. I'm going to take your stress, and I'll help you pull through it with you. When we're yoked with Christ, we move together. When we're yoked with Christ, we go in the same direction. We go in the right direction, and we go at the speed that we can handle it. When we're yoked to Christ, you don't go off into the ditch because he's going to keep us on the right path. When we're yoked to Christ, we're not going to run too fast to burn out, and we're not going to go too slow to hold everything back. Because he is our shepherd, and he can be trusted. So God, thank you for this psalm. And even though there's stress in our lives and there's struggles in our lives, that you are there. And God, may the words not just be words, but please transform our hearts. In Jesus' name, amen. It's he who's at work in us. Our call to action, read John chapter 10, verses 1 to 18. Memorize Psalm 142:3, and then the action is this. Where would you put yourself on a scale of 1 being low stress and 10 being, or 100 being chronic stress? Write down 3 to 5 of the highest stressors in your life. What gives you the most stress? And then write down one of these, the 5 antidotes. Which one could you use to lessen that stress? And you could write down that. And so I kind of feel like I need to just lay the whole out. Then apply it. Okay? How can you use that in your daily living? The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. So Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you, to be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face to you and give you peace. Amen.